I'm Matt Stash.
And I'm Rita.
Welcome to Beer Reviews, where we review beer in a way that you, the casual beer drinker, can understand.
We're taking a slight departure today. We're doing some, how you say?
I say so-called super premium domestic beers. Now these are beers that have been created a little bit different than regular domestic beers to fit a niche market.
But they do come to us from some of the most popular domestic brews out there.
That's right. Now, the markets they may fit is anything from getting a little bit more alcohol in the drink for club goers to something that appeals to drinkers of spirits like vodka and whiskey, or even trying to edge in on that craft market and appeal to craft beer drinkers with a semi-different domestic beer. So, shall we go to the first beer today?
We should.
All right. Our first beer today
is Bud Light Platinum. It is marketed in this unique blue bottle.
It's a nice cobalt blue bottle.
And I believe this one is...
It's 6% alcohol.
Yep.
It's right up there on the neck.
Okay.
That was one of the marketing things. It has a little bit more calories than Bud Light. In fact, I think it has more calories than Budweiser Heavy.
No, 8 fewer.
Oh, 8 fewer calories than Budweiser Heavy, but it has a higher alcohol content. This is the one that I refer to as sort of a club beer. It's higher alcohol for people who are concerned about those calories but still want to get drunk. And that's definitely the dance club goers, or at least in my opinion, would be the dance club goers.
As my coworker would say, the Red Bullers.
The Red Bullers.
Yep.
All right.
He asked me once if this is the music the Red Bullers are doing.
So anyways, don't really need to talk about the color too much. It's really clear, it's really pale. It's a lager.
Aren't they all lagers, Matt?
Well, yes, technically all of these things we're drinking today are lagers, I guess.
It doesn't taste like much of anything.
It doesn't taste like much of anything. It tastes a little bit like Bud Light. Actually, it tastes a lot like Bud Light.
It is a little sweeter. That is one of the marketing points, is that it's a little sweeter than Bud.
It's a little sweeter. To me, it tastes like it has that kind of weird sour malt liquor taste to it.
Yeah.
I think that's whatever yeast or something they're using to get that ramped up higher alcohol level. Now, if you look at craft beers are regularly around 6% or higher.
Right.
So to try to create a higher alcohol beer as a, look at this special thing we've done is kind of silly, because if you really just want to get a higher alcohol beer, just buy a higher alcohol beer.
Yeah, it does seem to kind of degrade the integrity of the beer.
But if you like Bud Light and you just want to get drunker than you usually get,
drink more Bud Light.
Well, drink more Bud Light. Technically, because per calorie you'll be consuming probably more alcohol if you just drink 2 Bud Lights instead of 1 Bud Light Platinum. But if you have a certain number of beers you're going to drink, if you're going to drink a 6-pack and you want to get a certain level drunker than usual with your Bud Light Platinum. So our assessment is this tastes like Bud Light except a little bit worse. All right, so we're moving on to our second beer.
Our second beer that we're bringing to you this evening is Miller Fortune.
Miller Fortune is the beer that I refer to as targeting drinkers of spirits. Younger drinkers tend to flock towards spirits like whiskey and vodka, and Miller's trying to attract them back to a beer by creating they say, sort of whiskey-flavored beer.
It is inspired by the sorts of, I think they're probably drawing from some of the processes. They really put a lot of effort and thought, and probably marketing. I seem to have missed
a hell of a lot of marketing, I imagine.
Now, you did tell me about one of their marketing ploys.
One of the marketing ploys, that towards the end of the commercial, they say, Miller Fortune, enjoy it straight from the bottle or neat in a rocks glass. Now, granted, we drink from rocks glasses because we sure as hell don't need a whole pint glass in front of us when we're doing beer tastings.
And they were cheap.
I got them from IKEA.
Target.
Target? No, that's right. I got them from Target. I'm going to bleep that out. But I think it's silly to say put it neat in a rocks glass. They're almost unashamedly trying to attract the whiskey crowd by saying neat. Beer, you pour it into a fucking glass. You don't pour it into a glass neat.
Pour it into your mouth.
Do you know what neat means? Neat is when you pour booze into a glass by itself, no ice, no mixer, no nothing. And so to say pour a beer, you always pour a beer neat, unless you're doing it wrong.
Oh, this is the pry-off.
Alright, it's the only pry-off in the bunch.
Yeah, now, we did just read something. We were trying to bone up on our premium beers, premium domestics. And there was a whole thing regarding the brewmaster of Miller Coors Brewing, and about how he was pouring the beer into the rocks glass, because that was the ritual that he was anticipating bartenders across the country would perform. I don't know that I've been to a bar that sold Miller Fortune, and I definitely know that I've not been to one that put it in a rocks glass.
Yeah, and if I was a bartender serving Miller Fortune, you couldn't pay me enough to do something as ritualistic as pour it in a rocks glass.
Now onto the beer.
Yeah.
It's darker.
It's slightly darker.
It's a lot darker.
It's lighter than a Yingling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still very clear.
I'm not even sure.
Alright, it's, comparing it to Miller or Miller Lite, it's a little sweeter. It has sort of a caramel taste to it. They did mention caramel malt.
Toasted caramel malts.
Or was that in the Black Crown?
I think it was in the Black Crown.
Okay, sorry.
JK.
It is does have a little bit of a caramel flavor to it, in my opinion.
Some toastedness. It is a little more. It's a little more flavorful than the Bud Light Platinum.
And that's probably achieved through the malts, although we didn't read anything about the malts in this one.
No, they were too busy about the ritual of the rocks glass.
Ritual of the rocks glass, right. I guess there's a little sour, sort of weird corny sour taste, sort of like whiskey, I guess.
Yeah.
If I was a whiskey drinker, I wouldn't go, woohoo! Actually, I'm a whiskey drinker. I wouldn't go, woohoo, it's a beer that tastes like whiskey. If I want a beer that tastes like whiskey, I'm just going to put a fucking shot of whiskey in my beer.
I mean, you could just go for the shot of whiskey and the beer, which is really, like,
well,
the way to go.
It really depends on whether you want to make a Boilermaker or Irish handcuffs. Alrighty, we're on to our last beer for this beer review, and that is...
Budweiser Black Crown.
Black Crown.
Distinctly smooth, beechwood finished.
Okay, this is the one that, as I recall, is trying to edge in on the craft beer market. The website describes it as having caramel toasted malts.
Yes, it does.
So that gives it a little bit more of a depth of flavor. In theory, should make it a little bit darker. And
plus, they spent some money using those words, which implies that they're trying to get to a higher crowd.
Right, and they did involve a bunch of brewmasters in trying to determine...
Oh, yes. They had a competition
yes.
to sort of design their next brew.
They did involve a lot of brewmasters in the marketing process and the development of it.
Oh yes, they had a competition to design this beer, and then they had 25,000 people taste test the top 12 beers or whatever, and they came across Budweiser Black Crown as the winner.
Now, I recall in the early 2000s, Budweiser had a beer that was called, I believe, Budweiser World Select, and it was served in a green bottle with a sort of world globe label type thing on it. And it had involved 8 brewmasters from around the world, and honestly, they just came up with just another lager. It was just another domestic tasting lager. So I don't have a lot of hope for this one, but it is, again, this one's just as dark as the Miller Fortune.
I think it's a little more golden though.
Yeah, and this is trying to, again, attract that craft crowd.
I think I'd rather drink another Desperados.
I just really don't taste anything.
It's too sweet.
It's really sweet. It's a little more acidic than the Miller Fortune.
Yeah?
I guess it's marginally, in a somewhat infinitesimal way, slightly more hoppy than the Miller Fortune. I guess I can taste a little bit of hoppiness to it, sort of. Like, as much as you can possibly cram in a Budweiser. As far as being a craft beer drinker, this is not going to appeal to me at all.
No. It has a thin flavor profile. There's some flavor there, sure, but it's really thin. You know, it doesn't have the same mouthfeel, which is a craft beer word. It doesn't have the same, like, you know, thickness. And I don't even mean thickness like a stout. I just mean, like, thickness, like the flavor's kind of like, eh. And whereas a craft beer, it's more like, so.
It's not doing it for me. I like domestic beer. I'm not a snob about beer necessarily, but this just.
But there's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place. This still tastes like beer flavored water to me, with some weird flavors in it.
As we're winding down the last of this, gun to your head, which one would you drink?
If I had to drink one of them, I'd probably drink Bud Light Platinum.
I'd go Miller Fortune.
The Bud Light Platinum to me is lightest weight of them, and I wouldn't have to think too much about what was going on with it.
I didn't as much hate the Miller Fortune. And it is the 6.9 alcohol volume.
Oh, so...
Yep. Yeah, the other two, the Bud Light Platinum and the Budweiser Black Crown, are both 6%. Miller Fortune is 6.9%.
I like the Bud Light Platinum's cobalt bottle though. That's I like that.
Yeah, I'd like to smash it and like make stained glass out of it.
I'd like to cut the top off and make a rocks glass out of it, and then I could probably pour more Miller Fortune into it. If you are already a drinker of these beers, we don't necessarily usually agree on negative reviews of beers on this show. But if you are a drinker of these, I think you should think about why you're drinking them. If you're drinking them because you want to get more drunk, you want a higher alcohol content, you should probably just switch to a craft beer. You'll get more of a flavor profile, something a little bit more interesting to drink as you get drunk. If you're drinking them because of the prestige, because of Miller Fortune and Black Crown and the prestige of it, well, there's not really any prestige. You should probably just switch back to the regular domestic and enjoy your domestic that way, not spend the extra money. So.
If you insist on drinking them, you're probably a douchebag or a frat boy.
Sorry, but I'm going to have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, it's time for our lightning round. And what is our lightning round, Rita?
Our lightning round is we put some time on the clock, 30-ish seconds.
Mm-hmm. We usually run over, but we have a good time doing it.
And we drink a mass market beer, and we say as many funny things as we can about it in our time limit. Now, today we have really done a lot of mass market beers, so we figured what could be slightly more lowbrow than the mass market beers we'd already selected for you.
Well, I can tell you one thing, it would be a malt beverage of some sort.
It would be Mike's Hard.
Alright, Mike's Hard Lemonade. I've actually never had a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Have you not?
I've drank,
Sounds like you didn't do a lot of underage drinking.
No, I didn't, but I have drank a Smirnoff Ice.
Just one?
Oh, no, I've drank several. In my youth, when I was first of drinking age, I did drink some Smirnoff Ice. I've drank the Bacardi O. I had a shortly lived malt beverage, Sky Blue. They no longer make. It's actually disappointing because it was pretty tasty.
The worst hangover I
think... And it came in a cobalt blue bottle.
One of the worst hangovers I've ever had was thanks to Bacardi Mojitos.
Oh, dear. Now, I think Mike's Hard Lemonade, much like Bud Platinum, exists to take over that Zima market.
I am not pouring this with any flourish because there is no flourish to be had.
I'd actually rather you knock all the bubbles out of it.
All right, what we have for you. We've got the time on the clock. Mike's Hard, ready to go. It smells like lemons, tastes like ass.
Tastes like bad lemonade.
It does. Tastes like lemonade in the back of your refrigerator.
This is certainly not country time.
I'd rather have country time.
I'd like to have country time with some vodka in it.
I mean, I'm in pursuit of getting drunk as much as the next person, and this is not.
No, I would have to really pursue this hard to get drunk.
Did you know that it's 8% alcohol?
Jesus Christ. Doesn't taste it.
It's one of those alcohol pops. Ooh.
It's honestly, I mean, if you like, actually it's pretty damn bad. If you like lemonade and you want to get drunk and you don't have lemonade and vodka, well, you should probably not get drunk. But if you really, really need to get drunk after that, well then, yeah, Mike's Hard, I suppose.
We should do an episode where we feature Sparks.
Ooh, Sparks. I have a story about Sparks. I don't like anything cold and hard.
Mike's is hard, so is prison. Don't drink until you're 21.
Thank you for joining us today on Beer Reviews, where we review beers in a way that you, the casual beer drinker, can understand. I was Matt Stash.
And I was Rita Manita. Remember, we take the pretension out of drinking beer and
put it in something else.
Everything else.
Everything else.
Swing, swing, swing it, man.
I need something to pour this out into.
Swing, swing, swing it, man.
God, I'm so sorry we did this.